Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to Wake Up and Smell the Tauntaun with me, John Maffio, your host. I haven't had an episode. This is episode 2. It's been a week and a half, so a lot kind of has happened. And I guess we'll start off with the first big thing that happened during the week after I started with episode 1, and that's the fact that Rian Johnson asked J.J. Abrams to change in the script which droid came to Acto with Rey and Chewbacca at the end of the film. That film being The Force Awakens. So it was originally supposed to be BB-8, but then they switched it to R2-D2, and I personally am for that. As much as I understand BB-8's a vital character to this new franchise, this new trilogy in the franchise, I understand why R2 is in it, and for Rian Johnson telling the story he's telling, it makes sense. First of all, Luke and R2, they've been through a lot together. They really have, though, and it's nice to see a reunion between those two characters. Also, as we saw in the flashback, R2 was with Luke when the Jedi Temple was destroyed and all of his students were assumingly murdered. When he was training Kylo Ren and all that stuff went down. So if we're going to get flashbacks to seeing what happened with Luke before he basically went off to find the first Jedi Temple, R2 has information that is vital to seeing what happened with him. So I understand why they did that. Also, since then, we also got a couple crazy, not like news stories, but some fun things. Adam Scott was on Jimmy Kimmel's show, and Kristen Bell was hosting at the time, and he was talking about how he's a big, obviously he's one of the bigger fans of Star Wars that we know, celebrity-wise, and Empire Strikes Back, he invited Mark Hamill to his birthday, and he didn't show up, so he was sad. But then suddenly Mark Hamill shows up at the Jimmy Kimmel show, and you could see Adam Scott literally internally screaming. He has like little twitches in his fingers, and it was really sweet. It was emotional for me. And you could feel the palpable emotion coming through his body when he sees Mark come out of nowhere. It's just a really sweet moment that I'm glad I can make light of in this video, and you don't get these often, and we're living in a new renaissance of Star Wars now because of the new trilogy and these new set of movies, so it's cool to see things like this occur. And going off of that, we also had an Omaze video where Mark Hamill basically came out and just surprised a bunch of fans who were doing their impressions of moments from the movies. And it's just another one of those, I'll link it down below along with the Adam Scott video, just seeing these fans just totally get obliterated with surprise when they find out that they're with Mark Hamill during this fake audition. It's truly awesome shit. For a lack of a classier term, it's just awesome shit. Today is Mother's Day, and I'm going to get to something motherly related later, but today is also George Lucas's birthday. And I just want to say happy birthday to the man who started this whole thing, and say what you want about him, say what you want in what he did in altering the original trilogy, but the man created Star Wars. He's an imaginative, creative, incredibly gifted man. Thank you for everything you've done, George. Really, I really do appreciate everything you've done. Next, in weird spoiler news for The Last Jedi, if you don't want to know anything about The Last Jedi, that's your spoiler warning. I'll do it again when I'm done. But there was a leak for Kylo Ren's supposed TIE fighter, his own personal TIE fighter, which looks like a TIE interceptor. It's black. It flies. It looks like a ship that somebody would use. Whoa! Listen, starting this channel, I never thought that we would get such incredible news 2 weeks into the birthing of this channel, but magic happens sometimes. Magic happens. Moving into the field of animation, Star Wars Rebels Season 4 is coming upon us pretty quickly, actually, in a few months. And it was said that supposedly Ian McDiarmid, who is the man who has brought the Emperor to life in multiple movies, including Return of the Jedi and the prequel films, has gone in to do some voice acting. But is it for Rebels? Is it for another show? Is it for something else that's a promotional material that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about right now? Perhaps. I wouldn't say that he's doing anything for Season 4 of Rebels. It seems more likely that he's doing something else. Really, the spectrum of speculation can go in plenty different directions here. With what he's doing, really we don't know enough to really speculate too much. But my money would be on the fact that he's voicing something for promotional material or something for another show entirely. So whatever they have planned for the future of animation of Star Wars, if Ian McDiarmid's a part of it, cool beans in my book. Next in the world of Star Wars, we do have the movies and TV shows, but there's also a lot going on in terms of the books and the comics. And there's no books I want to talk about now. I haven't read the Thrawn book yet, but I am reading everything going on in the world of Star Wars comic book-wise. I'm reading the Darth Maul run. I'm also looking forward to the Darth Vader run that starts in June. But right now, something that started really recently is the Screaming Citadel. That puts together Luke Skywalker and Dr. Aphra, who's a new character. She's like Indiana Jones, but she's like an anti-hero, sort of. And they're teaming up to do wacky adventures. And it's a fun entry into this 5-issue run. I really like Dr. Aphra. She's cute, she's awesome, she's fun, ragtagging, she's teasing Luke Skywalker a lot. And Luke isn't really in his place as a Jedi Knight yet. The actual internal details involving what they're doing, these two characters, just seems like a fun roundabout. What I am concerned about, and what I do want to talk about really quick, is there seems to be a really kinetic connection between Dr. Aphra and Luke Skywalker. I may be reading too much into this. Perhaps the theory of Rey Skywalker is going to come back around, depending on where this comic goes. Luke Skywalker is my favorite character in all of Star Wars, and it's cool seeing him do things no matter what medium I'm watching or reading him in. And Dr. Aphra I'm growing to like a lot, based off of her solo comic book line, and now this one, so I'm interested to see where this goes. And finally, as I mentioned before, since today, technically as I'm recording, is Mother's Day, I wanted to discuss the mothers, the mommy moms of the Star Wars universe. There's 3 primary mothers technically in the Star Wars verse that came to mind first, and they all revolve around the Skywalker family. How surprising! First we have Aunt Beru, not Luke's mother, but you know, she kind of raised him, so she's technically a mom. I would say she was the most responsible of the 3, because the other 2, well, Padme Amidala, she kind of just gave birth and then died. She was really selfish, just dying and stuff. And lastly, we have Leia Organa, who gave birth with Han Solo to the incredibly gifted Ben, or Kylo Ren. The guy who totally didn't piss off fans in any particular way. We don't know that much about the raising of Ben Solo. We do know there were troubles in the relationship between Han and Leia from the Bloodline book. If you haven't read it, it's a great book. And things kind of went down a dark path after it was publicly revealed that Leia was the daughter of Darth Vader. I think that's where things went kind of south on the motherly side of things, because, you know, I don't know if Ben took that too lightly. And that just about settles and wraps things up for this week's episode of Wake Up and Smell the Tauntaun. If you watch this through, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Throw a subscribe and a like in there if you want to. Also, what do you like drinking when you watch Star Wars? And another question, who's your favorite Star Wars mom in the universe in light of Mother's Day? Do you have a favorite of the 3 I mentioned, or somebody else I didn't mention? I'll see you guys next week, and may the Force be with you. Always.